Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to an all new episode of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Kyle,
I'm Jillian.
and we want to welcome you to our second show. And on today's show, we are going to discuss some of our favorite moments from this
Mm-hmm.
2022 season. And a little different than some other great shows out there. We're not just going to go review seasons. I feel like everybody's doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to just go and talk about moments in the season, um, and just share our thoughts and observations, and just kind of maybe take a little different spin. I know there's a lot of content out there, and we again appreciate you guys
Mm-hmm.
coming back. And if you're new, welcome. And so today, let's go ahead and talk a little bit and recap some memories. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, first thing on this, I do want to talk about is I kind of at the beginning of every year make some predictions, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, and there's a lot of people out there, both on these platforms and in the media, that know a lot more about the MLS
Mm-hmm.
inner workings of teams. I mean, honestly, I follow Union, but I've gotten a lot better
Mm-hmm.
getting to know the teams this
Mm-hmm.
year, mostly because I was tracking data all year and all that, and it really helped me understand the game. One of the things I did early in the season was I made some predictions. And boy, man, I have to say, the one thing I did hit on was I said early on in the season, my prediction was this year the focus needed to be MLS or bust. Like we had to get to the
Mm-hmm.
MLS Cup or the final or bust. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily win the cup, but get to that match. And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously they hit that.
Mm-hmm.
As I said in the previous show, yeah, I would love to one Shield, maybe get a little bit more trophy, like maybe the US Open Cup,
Mm-hmm.
um, stuff like that. But at least we hit that. But man, was I wrong? So first thing I was wrong on, and this is gonna be a bum, and there are probably gonna be some people turning off the pot, like this show right now. But so I was very conservative with my take on the Union's finish, and mostly because I thought with Carranza, with Ua, just all those new pieces coming in play, and with the Union starting historically slow under Jim Curtin, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think we would get off to that hot start that we did. Say what you want about that draw spell, April, May, we
Mm-hmm.
were drawing all those games, blowing leads. We were still getting points. I didn't think we would have as many early on, and even some of those
Mm-hmm.
losses late in the game year,
Mm-hmm.
we would have as much success. I knew we would be very, very good. But I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I had the Union finishing second in the East in 58 points.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really wrong there. Um, do you want to know who I had first?
Uh, Red Bull.
No,
No. Okay, good.
no, it wasn't Red Bull.
Hmm.
It's somebody that didn't even make the playoffs. That's how
Oh.
bad it was.
Uh, Atlanta, as I recall.
It was Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what else I had in the playoffs? Pitcher like seventh,
No.
Chicago. I thought like Shakiri and Shavilko, I thought it would be a
Mm-hmm.
good fit for him. And with their goalkeeper, I thought they'd be actually a half decent
Mm-hmm.
team, like one of those teams you sneak in. Like I didn't even have Montreal in it.
Mm-hmm. Montreal surprised, I think, everybody.
Well,
I mean,
I mean, Wilfred Nancy's a great
not that they were
coach.
that surprising, but they definitely, went on a run there.
Yeah, yeah, and they had a great, especially towards the end of the year. I'm trying to think who else I had. I think I had it was like, yeah, I had like Atlanta, just because like they had all these really great offseason signings, and they were always respectable. They always
Mm-hmm.
had talent, but man, they had all those injuries this year. Some really key pieces, and yeah, I didn't think. Well, I will say this: I think I had in the MLS Cup. I didn't have LA though. I did have LA. I think I had them like fifth in the
Mm-hmm.
West.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what I had. I had Nashville versus Philly. I thought we were gonna get that repeat.
Right.
of last year's, which I still I thought they would beat in Galaxy. But other predictions I had was I had Ua with 10 goals,
Mm.
and he topped that. I did not predict Gazdag to have the season he did.
I think a lot of people didn't predict that.
Oh no, there were several people that were like saying, yeah, this guy. There were several people saying he was going to have a breakout year,
Mhm,
and um, the one thing I think I had him with like 10 goals, 10 assists,
mhm,
and I think I had Carranza. Like, yeah, I had our like this was going to be the year our strikers were going to be like figuring it out, and then this coming year is when we would
mhm,
start taking it off. But man, we really exceeded expectations.
mhm.
But yeah. You're any did you have any early preseason predictions?
Um, Honestly, I kind of felt like we were going to go really far. I had this feeling that this group was special. Um, you know, at one point in the season, of course, I'm thinking, oh man, we're gonna win it all. I got this feeling, we can do this. Kind of like when the feeling I had when the Eagles won the Super Bowl that season. I'm like, this team's special.
Mm-hmm.
But um there were moments, I mean, we came out so close, but you know, honestly, I knew, okay, we should definitely be making the playoffs. It's also revenge season. I knew they were coming with a chip on their shoulders and they were going to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and play really well. I just had this feeling, the pieces were there. Um, you know, as soon as I saw Carranza playing, like Carranza is one that like early on I was like, oh, I'm liking what I'm seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a good pickup. I know you were super excited about Ua. Um,
I
you
was
know,
super excited about Carranza too.
Carranza, yeah. So, I mean, Gazdag, I felt like he was gonna do really well. But like him just coming, short of getting the golden boot, like I didn't predict it being like that crazy awesome, of a stat. But um, you know, definitely my what I predicted for this season wasn't too far off from what we did, I think. But yeah, I didn't necessarily think it was gonna be LA, even though they're good. But yeah. Yeah, I kind of with you there, like Nashville, with Mukhtar, and how good they've been,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to be honest with you, they like Joe Wilson did not have the season he had last year. But again, I think with them going back in East, they're definitely going to be
Mm-hmm,
another formidable piece that
mm-hmm,
top of the East next year. New York's going to be good.
mm-hmm,
Atlanta just got a new CEO, guy that was the CEO of Seattle,
mm-hmm,
and all the success he had there. Well, they just
mm-hmm,
probably backed up the truck of money, dumped
mm-hmm,
it in his driveway, and now he's headed to Atlanta. So they could be an interesting story now that they have
mm-hmm,
somebody that understands, like might have a better understanding. We'll see it. We'll see what goes
mm-hmm,
on down there. It'll be interesting.
mm-hmm.
So anyway, but we're not going to talk about that part of the season. So a couple highlights, and we're going to discuss some topics here and kind of a little Q&A. And to those of you listening, either on the pod now that is on Spotify, and hopefully Apple here in a couple days or so, and then also on YouTube, you can comment. We'd like to hear maybe you chime in, give a little bit of your thoughts as well. So we're gonna run through some topics. So the first one on this list: most exciting home win of this year. What is that for you?
Oh, I mean, I think hands down, it's the Eastern Conference Final.
Mm-hmm.
That was of course huge, and getting the revenge and everything.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that hands down was the most exciting. I mean, there's definitely some others that were up there. I mean, the regular season game that we just barely beat NYC, that one,
Mm-hmm. That
that
was
one was
exciting.
exciting. You know, so of course, and then yeah, we had some of like the really, the big wins, at home. But like say when we beat DC, like that whooping that happened, that was pretty fun. But Eastern Conference Final, like that's a no-brainer to me. That was the most exciting one.
Yeah. So I agree with you on that. I think most exciting win
Mhm.
for me. I have DC for another one. I
Mhm.
mean NYC and for like a couple of these other. For me was the Cincinnati
I was
game.
gonna say Cincy, that was
So
we were
for
holding our
me,
breath kind of the whole
yeah,
time
I just
there.
remember
Mhm.
you, me, and our other buddy Todd, we were all standing there, and he turns to me, he goes with like left, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, no."
Yeah.
It was after like Blake made that huge save there right at the
Mhm.
end. I'm like, "No, I am not okay
Mhm.
because this team can score just like we can." And that was exciting for me because they just seemed to have their number, the history, the players,
Mhm.
everything like that. And I felt like that was the monkey that we had to get off our back because everybody
Mhm.
was like, this is the one team I do not want to see in the playoffs.
Right.
Everybody was saying that. And then lo and behold, that's the team we're going to see in the playoffs.
I kind
So,
of felt like if we beat them, okay, we can
yeah.
win, we can win the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. And so I think that was the most exciting home win. And then obviously the ones you mentioned are up there and that. So overall, and we're not even talking about home games.
Mhm.
What was your most disappointing loss?
Mm.
And let's not even talk about the cup. I mean, the
Oh,
cup wasn't disappointing. We
we
played
no.
awesome, but
We played our hearts out in that one, honestly.
what was the game where you were just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't watch this"?
Charlotte.
That's the one I had too. And that was a game
We
that
thought that was gonna be like, oh, we're gonna go down there and you
when
know,
I was worried about that game. Remember, I even said I was like, I don't know,
it was a
man.
trap game.
Well, it was also remember the whole turf
The
thing.
turf,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew that was gonna be a problem.
But the one interesting thing with that was I just remember you like literally went upstairs. Like you didn't even watch it. You're like, I'm done. They scored like Rios just kept putting them in. I'm just sitting there going, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is
You
bad.
know, yeah, I was at a Hallmark store, okay, today after I went to the gym. And I'm shopping for some gifts there for like some Christmas gifts.
Uh-huh.
And I see this thing called a damn it doll
Yeah.
that like basically when you get mad or something, you can beat the crap out of this thing. Like you can just
Should
like
have got
hold
that.
it by the legs and smack it at whatever, like smack it. I'm like, I could have used one of them. I could have used one of them in that game.
Yeah.
I definitely could have used that. Yeah, between that and during the Eagles Commanders game, when they
Yeah.
got their first loss. You know me, I wanted to throw stuff that game. Yeah, I think I might need one of those. But
Or
yeah, the
just
Charlotte
like
game had me wanting to like,
well,
yeah, I could use one of those damn it dolls.
or just like the Capitals scoring right there. Eh,
Yeah, for those of you actually watching it, I'm like, you see me looking off. Yeah, we have the Flyers versus Caps game on, and yeah, in the background, and they tied it up with a minute to go. I'm not happy.
yeah. So the next one is we have best and worst atmosphere. Now, I think you and I can both agree the MLS Cup was phenomenal.
Hmm.
The Eastern Conference Finals, the playoff environment, the Sub is just awesome come
Uh-huh.
playoffs time. That place is
Absolutely.
rocking and all that. What was the best regular season? Or it could have been one of the road games we went to this year. What was the best environment atmosphere you think this year? Like, think of a game we went to this year.
Um, I mean, honestly, the home games were usually rocking pretty good there, but like I have to say, this might, I don't know, like maybe surprising. I actually thought when we were away at Red Bull though,
Oh
like
yeah.
the atmosphere we had there, like for it being an away game, everyone was into it with the cheering. We
Mhm.
had Sons of Ben, we had Keystone Ultras, like everyone was like into it because everyone there was really invested.
Yeah, no, and like Jim had said, that was the first time he felt that he'd been to a place where the support section
Hmm.
out that was louder than the home.
Yeah,
Yeah, it felt like a
yeah.
home game. So no, that's a good one. I'll be honest for you with you. I think for me, the one atmosphere that I was really, really enjoying and was a game that I don't think at the end of the year anybody was really sweating Toronto. I really liked that atmosphere. It was a
You
nice
know,
day game.
yeah,
My
it
dad
was.
was there. We had our friends that were all there. It was a playoff environment.
It was.
It was kind of like it was like a low level playoff environment. It wasn't like crazy, but it was still
Because it was
really
like a
loud.
sellout.
It was a
Yeah.
sellout, and
Yeah.
everybody
It
was
was
kind of getting
packed.
into playoff mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautiful day. I remember
Mm-hmm.
being a really nice day. It was a nice atmosphere.
I gotta agree with you though. That I think that out of the home games, absolutely, that was one of the best ones, I think.
That, or I mean, I think that was one of my favorites just because my dad was
Mm-hmm.
there. I just think that was everything. And right now you're looking at the TV going, oh my gosh, you really want
Caps just beat the Flyers in overtime, and yeah,
you really want that damn doll, don't you?
I do. I need that damn it doll.
All right. But yeah, no, I think that atmosphere was really good. And then also I think we gotta go to the regular season home game against NYCFC too. But we'll talk about it.
Mhm.
What about, was there a home game where you were like, oh man, this is gonna be a big match, and then we showed up and it was like, oh, where's everybody?
I mean, when we played Pachuca,
Yeah,
I mean, not that I expected it to be like a regular game, but it
yeah,
was like downright disappointing. Like, I think part of the problem was the fact that there were a lot of people just sitting in the river end. You know, there were um non-union fans sitting in the river
yeah.
end, and just people sitting and just like whatever.
And it was an international break. YouTube
Hmm.
was there. We had like players playing out of position. I think our bench was
Yeah.
like Ua, Elliott, and
Hmm.
like Brooks Thompson, the YouTube
Yeah.
goal, like one of the YouTube goalkeepers. So it was like very bare bones, like
Yeah. But meanwhile,
it.
I'm like, yeah, I get to see Odada. I get to see Bueno. Like,
Yeah,
I get to
oh,
see some of these guys play.
it was fun.
Bendick was great in goal,
I
honestly. Like,
know. I
so
mean,
it's like, all right.
that was good. The one game that got me, and I thought it would be better. I mean, was late in the season too, and I get it's a midweek game, was that Atlanta game. Like I thought that
Hmm.
game was gonna be, because of the rivalry with,
Hmm.
our supporters and their supporters. Um, and just a lot of things. Like I remember like looking up, there was like 5 Atlanta like fans. I don't remember there being, like, usually there's like a
Yeah.
nice like contingent of Atlanta fans, and I get it, again, it was a Wednesday game. I
Yeah.
just remember it being very like, oh, this is Atlanta, like
Hmm.
midweek, because we were at a couple midweek games where I was like, oh, this is a nice crowd for midweek.
Hmm.
Now, and school just started, it was a beginning week,
Right.
but that was one of the games that kind of underwhelmed me a little bit.
Hmm.
Shocking moment. What was one of those moments you're like, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to think on that one. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think shocking. I don't know, you go.
Well, what I have here is one of the shocking moments. The most shocking moment is the red card of former
Oh,
traders
duh.
Paul
Okay.
Rushing. Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
so
That.
that was the
Okay.
best one for the NYC, and that's why I was kind of holding off on that, because
Why didn't I
that
think of
was
that?
just like, we were watching this, there's a tackle, he goes out, runs out to get a concussion. And to be fair, our whole entire athletic training staff,
They're
they
they're
look like
jacked.
if you were,
Yeah. I wouldn't pick a fight with
I would
them.
go into a heavy metal mosh pit with those guys because they
Hmm.
could take care of business. But yeah, they kind of come out, and of course, this is when we had Toddy, and Toddy, I mean, not Toddy, when they had Taddy, and
Hmm.
he can be,
Hmm.
Taddy's just, that's what he is. And then they had Collins and those two guys, and
Hmm.
NYCFC is always provisional, like
Hmm.
they like to start crap. Long story short, there's an altercation, people just bumping. We've seen this a million times. Well,
Hmm.
then they start bumping Paul.
Yeah.
Paul pushes. All of a sudden, you got this fight breaking out. Here's the athletic trainer getting in a fight, and he gets a red card.
Nuts. Like,
And the
What?
whole stadium just starts chanting his name as he
Oh.
gets set off, and everybody's like applauding him. Even Jim's like, "Yeah, I'm fine with that." Like,
Mhm.
he's like, "I'm perfectly fine with that."
He's a cult hero now.
Yeah, and they even made Scar, the one
Yes.
some Ben guy, I forget his name. His name's Billy, and not Lucky Baby, but his name's Bill or something. Anyway, he made these scarves, um, to kind of commemorate that moment. And the cool part was they went to a Chickpea that Paul supports. So always gonna have that moment. That was probably my shocking moment.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you mentioned that, yeah, I would have to agree with that 100%.
My second shocking moment would be that game against DC, because remember, Sergio had just gotten traded. Stu
Yep.
was out the door. This like
Yeah.
he was out the door. It was like all this kind of we had
I
just
was all
had
up in my feels because we were losing Stu. Okay, Stuart Finley's my favorite player. Okay.
and then we just went out and opened up a can.
Yeah.
And so and that kind of brings me to the next best river end moment. So Jillian and I sit in section 136,
Mhm.
right at the top of the river. And so what was your favorite river end moment? I mean, there were so many great memories this year. I feel like every game had a river end moment.
Oh, absolutely.
A
I mean,
comment, a joke, something going on, something happened.
yeah. I mean, uh, so many.
I think that blow against DC, we kept bringing down the Tifo to one lace.
Oh, the lady was getting ticked off
Real,
because,
like getting so ticked off because
yeah,
it's like, you guys put it down. We were
like
kept like
she was getting annoyed at us bring the tifo down every time. It's like,
we're
uh,
scoring goals.
sorry about it. That's a good problem to have. You know, we keep scoring. Okay.
And we're all just like, what's going on here?
Uh, yeah,
That was fun.
yeah, yeah. Just, oh man. I mean, Carranza's hat trick and all that. Like, just
that
what a
was
time that
good.
was.
Well, I'm trying to think what else. Um, all the chants we do, all the
Mhm.
random chants.
That guy checking out your butt
That was the dude.
at the end of the game.
That was the NYCFC, dude. Okay, that the regular season NYCFC had so many moments this year
Yeah.
in our personal
I mean,
life.
I don't blame him. I mean,
But at the same time, it was just that was funny.
yeah.
Um,
I just happened to get this picture of you know, flipping off NYC basically.
yeah, they're fans.
Yeah, they're fans. And in the background, I noticed, hey, there's some guy checking out your butt.
Yeah,
Hey,
I do. I think that was funny. That was funny.
well, don't blame him.
So, favorite away trip.
Oh man. Uh
I mean, it would be LA.
I mean, it stinks that, we didn't get the win and felt totally gutted, but we had a fun time. Um, honestly, like I had a great time, going to DC and going to New York Red Bulls, but like I think for me, going to NYC, like that was my first away trip.
You
And
mean NYCFC?
yeah, we
Yeah,
went to
that was fun.
NYCFC and that was my first away trip for the Union and just experiencing that and going and beating them.
And first time ever.
Yeah, like, beating them there,
Yeah.
and get, it felt like a little bit of revenge, and making fun of their postage stamp sized banner. Um, you know,
Yeah, but that
you
was like
needed
the
like
running
a
game.
magnifying glass to find it. But that was pretty fun. You know what? I had a really good time in DC.
DC was fun.
That was fun. We
It
drove
was
ourselves
hot,
down.
but it was fun.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the hottest one we've ever been to, but
No, but
um, I mean, that was fun going to that bar, to that
that
brewery,
brewery, that
yeah, and like, and there were, you know, lots of DC fans and everyone was just, like,
oh yeah,
cool.
no, it was a really cool
That
environment.
was fun.
Yeah, I had to agree with you. NYC, then probably DC.
Mhm.
Red Bull's environment was fun.
Oh
Other than that,
yeah.
it was just kind of like, it was by that point. So yeah, no, I agree with you for all those reasons that I think NYC and then probably DC. Um, Here's a good one. What let's say we go into a time capsule. What do you want fans to remember 20, 30 years about the Union in 2022? What is the one Like if somebody's like, hey, I remember hearing tales of this team that they had in
Mhm.
2022. What would you say that person took? Like, what was this?
Well, see, to me, I feel like they're gonna be kind of like how we feel about the 93 Phillies. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't win it all, but that we love that team,
Mm-hmm.
and they really like played their hearts. And then there was that one villain that ripped our hearts out the end. Gareth freaking Bale is the Joe Carter of this situation. But
That's a good analogy.
you know, um,
Joe
and
Carter
screw
of
you, Joe Carter. Maybe you're a nice guy, but I hate you. I don't know. And ripped out my 9-year-old heart there. And Gareth Bale, yeah, don't even get me started on him, especially after the World Cup. But
yeah.
I think the fact that like this team, they really seem like they were a cohesive group.
Correct.
And we just love all these guys, and I feel like they really, you know, played well together. That's the thing. Like they were a team, you know. They fought hard, every game. Um
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for me, and I said this a couple times. I mean, I think people on Twitter got tired of me saying it. Like, enjoy the ride, and
mhm,
I wasn't making predictions. I kind of stopped making predictions after
mhm,
like this third game in the season because they were exceeding. I didn't know what to expect.
mhm,
I I feel like this team was everything that Ernst and Jim envisioned. Like if
mhm,
you asked them being the year what were going to happen, and I am going to remember what I'm going to remember most was when they were at their best. Their defense and midfield was so organized. The
mhm.
attack and runs were insane. I
We
should.
have a guest star, Shadow, our black cat. Yes.
um, when they were at their
Mhm,
best, Ua was making those runs and breaking down. Gajda was getting in, getting clean shots and nailing it home and finishing. Julian wasn't overthinking it and trying to
mhm,
score a goal when
mhm,
all he needed to do was tap it in and just finish like he was early in the season. And then when
mhm,
he got that goal against NYCFC, it was a beautiful goal.
mhm,
I think those were the things I would say that Andre Blake had a
mhm,
historic year. And if it
mhm,
wasn't for that Charlotte game, like we talked about earlier, he would have had set historical numbers.
yeah.
And he still pretty much set historical
Mhm,
numbers in a lot of categories. That this team, I still believe this, that game's at home with LA, all things equal, we
mhm.
win that game.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Credit to LA. I'm not being so I think that's how good those yeah, I see it. So it's Las Vegas. There's another hockey game on now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are I want this team to be remembered kind of just they were the best, and there'll be a season, but also, and I think it's crazy to say this, and shout out to Talon Free Kick. He brought it up
Mhm,
because of a conversation him and I had. And he asked me, he goes,
mhm,
what if this is the beginning? And I
mhm,
said, that's a really good point, because
mhm,
what if this whole thing is just a start? And I'm not saying historic numbers and records like we had
mhm,
this year. I'm saying just that consistency. Think of
mhm.
like a Seattle. The
Yeah.
Sounders had that run for many years, which this is
Yeah.
the first time this year they didn't make the playoffs, but they had that run. They still won the CCL.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're gonna remember this, whether it was the start of something epic or
Mhm,
if this was just one of the most best seasons ever seen in the MLS, win or lose the cup.
mhm.
It was an awesome season.
I mean, the goal differential,
Yeah,
insane. Like, I think that's one of the craziest things about this season, the goal differential. I mean, that was just
it was
epic.
nuts.
It was. So I do hope it's the start of a run.
Right.
Um, you keep most of those guys on the team. I mean, yeah, it sucks losing Corey Burke, but I trust in Ernst Tanner to, you know, do what he does.
Yeah, me too. So, last topic for today. Let's talk about one of our favorite things to do on game days, going to the tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
the Sons of Ben tailgate. And for those of you who don't know, the first thing I'd like to say, and I've heard this a lot, that fans don't realize this, even though the Sons of Ben, they say it all the time. Now, Jillian and I, every year we join the Sons of Ben. We join it. I think it's a great, it's a good it's a great organization, and it's one. I still think, just even seeing other support groups out there, I think it's one of the best. So we're proud members of the Sons of Ben. And the one thing that I always like to say about these tailgates, and they say it, and I still get people saying, well, that's just for the Sons of Ben. No, the tailgate, folks, is for everybody. Like, yes, I think you get a discount if you're a member on the price of admission, right? Yeah.
It's usually,
Uh,
10 if you're a member and 20 if you're not.
or it varies
But
depending on
still,
the game.
oh,
But yeah,
it's a deal.
but what I want to say is this: if you're a new fan, if you're a longtime veteran, and you want to meet other Philadelphia Union fans, number one, it's a great place to meet and talk Philadelphia Union before the game. Enjoy great music, get some merchandise like this. And no, I'm not, trying to do it, but like great merchandise we're wearing. No, we just happened to wear it, so we weren't. That wasn't part of the show. But also, if you are of the drinking age, it's all you can eat and drink. Great food by great volunteers, friendly people. And then if you can't drink, there's stuff they have cornhole, there's activities. It is a family friendly environment
there's always
too.
kids,
There's always kids running around. You get to see older adults to the hopefully someday those kids will be bringing their kids, and then they become grandparents and they bring their nephew, and that's how you build a soccer tradition. You start at the grassroots level, kind of like how this, which is why I love this support group. They started at the grassroots level, a bunch of people that basically came together to get a team in Philly. And I think that's an awesome story. That's why I love, one of the reasons I love this team. But I think that's the first thing. Everybody's welcome. The second thing I will say is, for me, my favorite tailgates have always been those playoff tailgates. You get packed, it gets loud, but even more so sometimes those weekend, like early season or like summer vacation, when there's not as many people, but you get to meet more people and you get to see people that you've never talked to before, and you just get to meet people.
And Kevin Durant shows up.
Or
that happened the one
Kevin
time.
Durant shows up, or Jay Sugarman showed up to that one, or Don Carver shows up, Ernst showed up to one. I think the atmosphere is great, but my favorite tailgate this year was probably the NYCFC one for the playoffs, or the Toronto one. We went to my dad. That was a great time. But heck, I even think Kevin Kincaid did like a it's always soccer in Philly, like podcast right behind the beer truck.
Right. Yeah, he did.
Was that that was
yeah.
Which game was that? Was that the one? I think a whole bunch of us went out there and watched, and we couldn't even hear it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have so many great memories from tailgates this year. That I think if you've never been to one, next year in 2023, make it a priority to go to one, because again, one of the things we're going to do on this show, hopefully in the coming season, is we're going to do a tailgate report. Every game we're going to talk about what was awesome, how was the tailgate. So the one tailgate I was shocked about, and I knew it wasn't an official tailgate. I thought more people would come to Pachuca, but then, like, remember the
one we were sitting, we were the only ones there.
It was like the friendly, I think it was like 5 people were there.
We were sitting there with like our Capriottis or whatever.
Yeah, it was that one, and then like no one was there, and then like we had like a small march. Did we march in?
I don't even think we marched, because there was like
a whole people, and everybody's like, I thought there'd be more people for this, and then there wasn't. And then there was that one was weird. The Cincinnati one was weird too, because remember we got there and it was just like kind of like like a really early season match or
Yeah.
like a late fall weekend when there's a lot going on.
Mhm.
But then by like the last hour, it like
Mhm.
packs everybody got off of work.
Yeah.
That one was kind of, yeah, that was
That first one, like what, the end of February, freezing our butts off.
but
Like
that was a fun
it was
time
fun.
because
I
everybody
did
was
have to
all
go sit in the
excited
car and warm up a little bit
because
for a
everybody
time,
hadn't seen everybody and
but it
everybody's
was
like,
but that was fun.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are ones. I think those are some of our favorite memories, but yeah, in closing, they're great, and we'll talk more about them
Mhm.
as the season goes on. I'm pretty sure we're going to share some stories, but again, if you're a fan out there, and also you can comment, what is your favorite tailgate moment from this year? But in closing, one last question. So Thanksgiving's tomorrow.
Mhm.
What at this point on November 23rd, 2022, are you most thankful for being a Union fan?
I'm thankful that we get to share in our Union fandom
Yes.
for one thing, because you know, as a long-suffering Philadelphia sports fan, it's nice to have someone who can share in that with me that I actually live with, you know,
Mhm.
that I'm thankful for that.
I also am thankful for that we can share a team that we enjoy and we can constantly look at memes and jokes and like funny things that are said on social media and
Yeah.
laugh about them together. But I'm also thankful for all the new people I've met throughout
Mhm.
this year, people we've interacted with, met in person, some friends, ships that have been
Mhm.
formed from that.
Mhm.
I think that's been awesome.
Mhm.
And again, that's something the Sons of Ben does. It brings people together.
Yeah, getting to know a lot of people in our section and people at the
Yeah,
tailgate, that's been
it's,
great.
it's a big family atmosphere. It
Mhm.
really is. But so I'm thankful for that, and I'm just thankful for the union doing all just bringing people together. I'm thankful
Mhm.
for that, and I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful
Mhm.
for everybody. So as a union fan, that's what I'm very thankful for. So
Mhm.
with that said, that's all for today's show. Thank you all again for listening. We'll be back again soon with a new episode. We'll figure out. I think here in the off season, we're just going to talk about some random union topics. Maybe
Mhm.
do some trip down memory lane.
Mhm.
Maybe share some more union gear that we have in my collection that keeps growing and growing and
Mhm.
growing because I can't stay off of eBay.
Well, and Christmas is coming up, so
Yes.
you got an early Christmas present though. I got you that Philly jacket.
Yeah, this was very nice. And um, but again, leave a comment. Tell us some of your favorite moments from this year. And then also happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we will see you next time on, do you want to say the outro?
The one team we agree on.
All right, go Union.
Dupe.